I was born and raised in Hawaii. 3-4 generations there on the island. My great-grandparents in the 1900s migrated from Puerto Rico to Hawaii with the rest of the world for work, sugarcane and pineapple fields. I graduated from the University of Hawaii. I have a bachelor's in sociology. So I like social. I like institutions and how they impact people. So I guess I do social experiments. I started to notice just simple things as going to a store, go to a grocery chain, if I was there with myself or my family, and I would notice little subtleties. I remember once, vividly, I had to purchase a freezer. And I went into this appliance store, and I stood up in front of the counter in the hopes to get served, and I stood there, and I waited, and I waited, and there were other people that came into the store were not people of color. They got serviced, and I waited, and finally I brought to the clerk's attention. I said, "Hey, I've been waiting here. Can somebody help me?" And the clerk, or the person behind the counter, again, caught herself and just didn't realize, and just unconsciously, that maybe I wasn't as important as other people.
Growing up in New York, I was so, I was involved with all different races and cultures, and then coming here and just finding almost one culture. And I didn't see or find a lot of Latino people here. When I came here because of my church, being there, so there were Spanish people there, but still it wasn't, I guess, my heritage, Puerto Rican from New York. So it was a huge learning curve, and I felt alone, I felt isolated.
We went out and did some outreach in Eastern Oregon, and we had a group of college students, and there's a 30–40% percentage of Latinos out in that area, and those that I knew closest, we got into the schools. We were able to talk to students, just tell them about our experience, and answer questions for them. That's really what we wanted to do. We ran into some roadblocks, right? And it was like we had other school districts where they flat out told us, no, you can't come into our schools, and we're not going to let you talk to our students. They felt threatened by some college students coming in and talking about opportunity and talking about this is how you can get to where you want to go. I think that that's always been something that I remember, that there's still a lot of work to be done, and there's still lots of barriers that folks run into, and that we're unfortunately not giving the same opportunity and the same platform to be able to excel and to be able to move forward.
Walking into McKay High School for the very first time was, I can't even tell you, it was so incredibly awesome to see people that look like me. It was so diverse. There was Latinos, Asians, African Americans. It was an entirely different world. I just remember feeling like, wow, I fit in here. And so that was a pretty awesome moment, because from that point forward, I think I embraced my culture. And that led me to then, go to college, take Chicano Latino studies classes, which was even more empowering. And I started really realizing that as I was growing, I am the modern Latina. I want it all. That's the truth, is I want it all. I want the career, I want the family, I want to give back to my community. I want the whole thing. And I think that's really who I am as a Latina in Oregon.
I think the opportunities are, the sky's the limit. I think that our growing population rate of I don't know if I'm correct, but I think it's like 12% in the state of Oregon or 12% in the nation. I think that's an undercount. I think that we're more at 20, 25, 30%, but nobody really wants to say that out loud. So I think our numbers are so incredibly positive economically for the nation. Just incredible political opportunities in running for office and representing our population. And we are a working, awesome entrepreneur culture. We're so fantastic, from artistic, the best food in the world is from Latin America, the flavors that come out, the movies, the color. There is no disadvantage. I think that what we need to do is tell our students, your goal in school is to be the best that you can be. If a teacher says that you're not a good student, your job is to prove that teacher wrong, because you're a great student. You come from a great mestizo, Latino, Mexicano culture, Guatemalteco, Colombiano. You're awesome. It's just a given. You're awesome. So the disadvantage is not yours. It's that person, that teacher's disadvantage. How do we do that? We encourage our kids to read, watch film, great stuff that's Latino, and you tell them, God, you're really lucky because you're Latino.
You know, we need to be able to message out to the community of Latinos that our greatest value is being able to vote as we please. But to get to that point, we got to register voters. So that's the challenge. You know, a lot of Latinos, especially those who are newly arrived, first and second generation Latinos, don't understand the true value of democracy because they come from countries that sometimes abuse democracy. So it's making sure that there's a transitional change in culture regarding voting, regarding democracy in general.
I feel like we've all been battling against these systems that have been created, that have been here well before our time, and therefore we think that we have to stay stuck in these silos where education can't communicate with the business world, where government can't communicate with the community. And so we have representatives from those different places. We just have to find common ground to come together and then really unify. Having a common voice and coming together creates leverage and the opportunity for people that have never collaborated with each other to come together and create new things. I think taking that entrepreneurship mindset and applying it to the systems that are in place will create some opportunities for our community to grow and really flourish in many different sectors.
We have a lot of predominantly white communities with lack of Latino role models. And so our students do not have examples of leaders, and they have to pave their own leadership path, so to speak. And it can be challenged without having somebody to look up to. Some opportunities are along the same line. Because there are a lack of leaders, there is an opportunity for people to step into those roles and be the pioneers that they can be. In time, we'll have many more professional Latinos in all types of positions to be examples and to mentor future generations.
It's up to us to really shape what tomorrow looks like. I would hate for us to really, for me to sit here and be like, we're the people of tomorrow, but then really just sit back and have someone else shape that reality and have someone else really influence what that tomorrow is going to look like. I think my advice would be, question everyone, question everything, make your own opinions about things. Get to a point where you feel very confident about yourself and you're able to really influence your own future. And by doing that, I think that you'll be shaping everyone else's.
I think the best advice from my experience that I could give is inviting their parents to be part of their life. You become a team, and they become the foundation for you to be successful. When you have that support, and it doesn't have to be monetarily, because most of our students deal with financial barriers. but it's knowing that they have their back, that the mom or dad understands that the things that you have to do to be successful in high school, to be successful in college. And if you know that in the back of your head, you're going to be able to enjoy your whole experience in high school and in college.
So the advice I give to future generations is maybe not even advice, but just letting you know that we expect the world of you. Yeah, there's a lot of resources today. There's a lot of opportunity that maybe other generations before didn't have in employment, education. And the other thing you have that I just don't want you to forget is you have us. You have us that have already maybe broken down some doors. And let me tell you, we're really happy to let you in and guide you. But it's, you know, just get, you know, we're here, we're accessible, and know you're not alone.
A few years ago, I survived a pretty traumatic experience. It was a challenge every day to feel normal and to feel like I could interact with the world and go to work and study and be with my family. And for me, I always tell people it wasn't me that picked myself up by my bootstraps and kept going. It was my community. I would hope that my niece and my nephew and my cousins, when they feel like the racism is too much and the violence is too much and the oppression is unbearable, that they remember our stories and they find our courage.
The one of cariño and affection and appreciating something positive that someone brings to the table. I think that's one of the most important and valuable things, because I think as a community we end up working very, very hard. And las palabras dulces, a nice compliment, a nice appreciation, you look wonderful today, you know, those words like open up people's hearts and allow them to relax and kind of just feel like you've seen me, but you've seen me in a good light, and I love that. And that's one of the things that I loved about my family, to be able to do that. And then to be able to bring that to other places, because like I said, you know, we just end up focusing so much on the hard work that we do that sometimes it's just nice to get some positive regard and to hear that from someone that you maybe unexpected, and it's just like, just brightens up their day and makes them smile, and there's an interesting energy exchange that happens with that, and it's like, I got you, you got me, yay. You know, you see me as I am, and that's a really wonderful thing.
Parte de mi liderazgo creo que lo obtuve dentro del movimiento en Guatemala. Yo soy parte del movimiento indígena y uno de los valores que aprendí ahí es de que todos somos líderes. Y esa filosofía no se me olvida. Todos aportamos alguna parte de cómo hacer, construir la comunidad. Entonces, desde ese entonces, pienso que estoy tratando de hacer. Eso no es fácil. En teoría es fácil decirlo, pero en la práctica es difícil. Entonces, la importancia de crear líderes, que yo no sea la persona principal, sino que todos seamos. Si yo me voy, ahí están todos los demás.
Definitely to be truthful, have integrity, and be truthful to yourself. Be proud of who you are and in the fact of not being a follower, but being a leader. And just loving your family, making sure your family is a priority. So I think some of that is comes out through how I lead, and I lead with integrity, and I don't mince words. and I make sure that people know where I stand at all times as well. It really comes from my family.
One thing I'm going to take away from my experience here in Unidos, it's being re-energized in the power of the Latino community in Oregon across our state. The brilliant minds, the brilliant talent that is working in isolation for all these years, and it's finally coming together to create a web of knowledge, to create a web of uniting forces, to create a web of individuals ready to support Oregon, Oregonians, and the issues that we'll tackle in the future.
I think one of the things that I appreciate most about the Unidos program is the candor, the honesty, the openness with which we are able to speak to each other about things that are personal in some cases, that are our concerns about the community and how we function, and really be able to voice that passionately but not angrily, intelligently but not didactically. And I love that I feel like I'm in a safe place where I can speak freely among colleagues and not feel like it's an exercise in, you know, sending out a message that's never going to be heard, but rather that there's reflection, there's a sense that that we are all adding to each other's knowledge and understanding of the variety of experience that we all bring. Compassion, that we're building compassion for leadership.
The frequent communication creates a path of trust. I think there's real caring to create this connection between the group, and that help. You know, also the fact that when I miss a meeting, you guys will send me an email or somebody, and I think that really makes a difference. You know, they say, "Hey, we miss you." Just those 2 words, you know, 3 words. "Hey, we miss you." That we need to continue doing that, because you go, "Oh, I am part of them, you know, I'm not forgotten."
And my son, who was 11 years old, would go through a painful experience, and I'd say, you know, "Be tough." Or I'd say, it's okay. And I wouldn't allow him to process his emotions or his feelings. And since participating in the class, having a deeper understanding of how I should allow him to feel what he needs to feel, and how I should love him and tell him it's okay and support him rather than making him more closed or guarded. That's something that I've tried to change in how I interact with him and with others. A little more real.